Quoi de neuf? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a de nouveau
No,
depuis?
no, no, in English. Do you remember I
Ah,
confused?
yes, that's right. You chose the French in the italki schedule, but you prefer
Hmm.
to have an English lesson rather than a French lesson. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, I can't speak French.
You can't speak French. Oh, Chris, I'm sorry to hear that. But that's all right. I mean, if you prefer English, that's fine. We can have English instead of French. So I was asking, what's new, Chris, since last time, since our last lesson together? What's been
Yes,
happening for you? Hmm.
a long time, a long
Long
time.
time. It's been a long time. Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been since, let's have a look. When was the last time we had a lesson? Oh, I think it was the 1st of July. That was like, oh, more than 3 weeks ago. A long time ago. Yes.
Yes.
So,
Okay. I don't remember if I speak last time from my village.
well, you don't say
Um.
I speak last time because if it was last time, then it was before this time, like before now. So obviously it has to be in the past. And then you wouldn't say I speak, but rather the past tense of the verb to speak, and then you would say I spoke. So you would say I don't
Okay,
know
that.
if I
Yes.
spoke last time.
Sorry. Yes.
That's okay. That's all right.
I,
It's not to worry.
okay. I spoke last time
Yes.
from my village.
Oh, from the
I stayed.
village. Oh, that's nice. Excellent.
Yes,
Very good.
it's
Hmm.
a very it's a small village
Yes.
from Segovia, from the city.
Uh-huh.
Now in winter here
Yes.
in winter here they live 50 people.
Oh, there's 50 people living in the village. Is that right?
Yes,
Oh, it's a very small village. 50 people, that's not
yes.
many. I mean, if you
In
have
winter, in winter,
winter,
winter.
yes.
With it. But now it's summer and there are more people
Ah, there's
because
more people in the summer. Yes.
yeah and more this year because people
Mm.
don't go to on holiday and
Ah,
stay here in
you don't
the
say they don't go to
in,
holiday. You would say, Chris, that they don't go on holiday. That would be the way to say that. You don't go to a holiday because a holiday is not really a place. A holiday is like a period of time. It's like a special event. And so you would say the expression is to go on holiday rather than to go to holiday. You see what I mean,
Mm.
Chris?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, perfectly.
that's good.
So
Hmm.
this year,
Yes.
due to coronavirus, there are
Oh, yes, of
a lot of
course.
people here
Mm, I understand, absolutely.
because people have at home from their parents or their
You
families.
mean they are at home because you don't say people have at home. You're saying that the people are at home, like they're staying at home,
Okay.
they're living at home. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so instead of saying the people have at home, you could always so say, of course, if you want to use the verb to have, but it means something different, then you would say the people have a home. That means they have a roof over their head. But here we're not talking about them having a home. You would say the verb to be instead of the verb to have, and you would say the people are at home. That means they not only have a home, but they are actually in the home that they have. So they are at home. Do you see what I mean, Chris?
Yeah. Hmm.
Excellent. Very good. Mm. Wow.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
funny. It's
Yes.
quiet. It's funny
Mm-hmm.
and relaxed.
It's nice when
So
it's relaxed. I mean, we always like it when it's relaxed. The more relaxed it is, the better. It's good to have it relaxed. So that's very good, Chris. So I'm pleased that you're having a very relaxing time at the moment.
Yeah, I'm working in the morning
Oh,
now.
you work in the morning. Oh.
Yes, I'm working from home,
Mm.
so I'm happy
Mm-hmm.
because I stay with my children.
Ah, that's nice. It's
No
always
travel.
nice.
Yeah,
Mm. Oh, yes. There's so many advantages of working from home. Staying with the
yeah.
family, not having to travel to work, being able to just work at a distance, teleworking, working remotely. Uh, it's the best life, really. I mean, that's what I do with italki. You see, I teach from home, and home can be anywhere in the world, wherever there's an internet connection. So, I'm also a digital nomad. Have you heard of that expression, Chris? Digital nomad?
No, digital
No?
nomad. It's like uh, I having house. No, nomad.
Oh, no, no, no.
No,
Normally, a digital nomad doesn't have a house, you see. The digital nomad, he's like changing places every month
uh.
or every 2 weeks or even every week. If he
Yes,
wanted
yes,
to,
yes, yes.
he could go to a different place every day. But then it's difficult to
Yeah.
buy a house in each place you go to stay just one day in a house that you buy. So it would
Mm-hmm,
probably take longer than one day just to buy the house. So usually these people
mm-hmm,
stay in hotels, in rented accommodation, you see, and
mm-hmm.
so they travel all over the world. They can change destinations literally, in theory, every day. Every day they can go to a
Yeah,
different city, a different country, a different continent. And because they're working from internet, and internet is international, it's all over the world.
it's
Most
global.
countries,
Yeah.
yes, it's global. So it's wonderful. You don't have any fixed offices, you see. You have a virtual office. I mean, your
Mhm.
computer is your office. So you take your
Yeah.
office with you all over the world. Isn't that wonderful? And if it's on your
Yes, it's
mobile
wonderful.
phone, you have your office in your pocket. So wherever you are, your office is, and your work is wherever you are in the whole world. Isn't that wonderful, Chris? Isn't that a good thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a pity that, for example, in Spain,
Mm-hmm.
mm, more boss, more people, more
Mm-hmm.
head boss um, don't understand work at home. They
Really?
prefer,
Oh,
yes,
oh,
yes.
that's
The
sad.
mentality is the
Oh
mentality is
no.
very older, I think.
Really? You
Yeah,
don't say olden. You would say either the mentality is very old, or
okay.
you could say the mentality is very old-fashioned. That would be the
Yeah,
more usual way of saying it, old-fashioned. But we wouldn't say olden. Um, olden is used for example, olden, olden. It's very rarely used these days. We usually say old. I think olden was Old English, you see. In Old English, we had the word olden,
hmm,
but in modern English, we just use the word old because,
okay.
and there's no reason really to have a word like olden. Um, just old is good. Yes. Hmm.
Old fashioned.
Old fashioned, that's the best way of saying it, yes. But that's
Okay.
sad that it's old fashioned. Uh,
Yeah.
but maybe that's for the older generation. But what about the younger generation? I mean, usually they are not so traditional, and the youth, the Spanish youth, I'm sure they must be much more mobile. I mean, they like internet, they like being online. So I think this is probably only the case for the people of the older generation. Do you think that's possible, Chris?
But some young people
Hmm?
thinks the same way, I think. In Spain, I don't know, it's
Not
different
some
that
people
in Europe.
thinks. Not some people thinks,
Okay.
because people is
Some
always a
people,
plural
yes.
word, especially if it's
Some
some, then
people
it's more than
think.
one. That's right. Think without the S on the end, because it's not third person singular. If it was one person, then you could say thinks, you see, because then it would be third person singular. But here, it's always plural, the word people, especially if there's some, then it's more than one. So some people think, yes. So you were saying, Chris, sorry to interrupt you. You said that some people think,
Same way, I think. Young
uh,
people.
even the
eh,
young
in
people,
Spain is different, I think, that in Europe. In Europe
not
is
that in.
more.
You wouldn't say not that in. You would say it's um, different from. Uh, so it's not the
Okay.
same as in, or um, it's other than. Instead of saying it's other that Europe or somewhere else, you would say it's other than. So here you should use the word than instead of that, but there are other alternatives like saying it's different from or it's not the same as in. Do you see what I mean, Chris?
Okay.
Okay. So
It's
you would say
different from
yes.
Europe.
It's different from Europe.
Yeah,
From the
in
re
Spain.
from the rest of Europe. You mean from the other countries in Europe?
Yeah.
But
Because
that's
they
strange. Yes,
they
because.
think
Hmm.
they think that they think if you stay in the office,
Hmm.
work more or I don't know.
Oh, they think they will
Uh,
work more in the office, and then
but
if they're with their
but
family, they're going to be having the fiesta all the time, the party, and they're not going to work at all.
but
Actually, maybe you're right. I think you're right, Chris. I don't think if they were to work from home, they wouldn't do any work because they would be celebrating with the family, the fiesta all the time, and it would be very difficult to work in that atmosphere as well. I can understand that. Because they like the fiesta. They like, having a lot of parties, you see. But
I
other,
think if
yes, you
Yeah,
think? Yeah.
if you have work, if you have objectives to achieve,
Yes. Hmm.
um, I think you have to work.
Of
So depends on
course.
the work.
Mm.
Perhaps if you have less work or no work,
Mm.
you stay. You
Mm.
you you are doing other things, but if you have a lot of work, it's
Work.
normal.
Remember that
Work,
word is
work,
pronounced work,
work,
like with the letter
work,
E. Work.
work,
That.
work.
Very
Okay.
good. Yes, you were saying it's like the word perk. You see, you know what a perk is. What is a perk,
Back,
Chris? What is
back,
that? A perk. Have you ever heard of a perk?
back.
Yes. What
What
is
is
that
this?
word? What does that
I
mean?
don't know. I
Do you
don't
know?
know.
I've
No.
written it in the Skype chat. Can you see it in the Skype chat, Chris?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But I
You don't know
don't.
what it means. Okay. It means an advantage. It's a privilege. You see, if in some jobs that you do, you have certain perks. You can have
Okay.
meal tickets, luncheon vouchers,
Mm-hmm.
restaurant meals for free. You can have a free computer, a free laptop you can use, or even a mobile phone. And some companies even give you a company car. Now, those are
Yeah.
perks,
Mm.
they're advantages and privileges. You,
Yes.
you, you see what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
you need to pronounce the word work as though
Work.
it's written instead of the O, you pretend it's written with a E. You see the letter E. So you would pronounce it a bit like perk, work.
Work.
That's right.
Work.
Perk,
Work.
work. Yes, that's it.
Work.
Very good.
Work.
Excellent, Chris.
Work.
Much better. Well, that's excellent. So, but yeah, I see what you mean. But it's a little bit of a pity, really, because I mean, you appreciate the advantages of working from home. And if they were to try working from home, I'm sure they would like it and they would
Yeah.
prefer it. It's just they don't know, we're always let's say afraid, or at least very apprehensive, if you know that word, apprehensive concerning the unknown, concerning what we're not familiar with, you see. When we're ignorant about something, then we always like the status quo. You see, the same situation. We like to be conservative and to keep things as they are. And some people are reluctant to change. They are resistant to change. And
Yeah.
it's a pity, and especially if it's the young people as well, because usually the young people are much more proactive, dynamic, they are more revolutionary, they are more, let's say, futuristic in the sense that they're much more modern, high tech, digitally minded. Uh, they're people who usually are the trendsetters. They're the ones who usually um, are at the forefront of the new ideas. They're usually the ones who give the new ideas. You see what I mean? Who encourage the others. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually the young people because they're very enterprising. You see, pioneering, adventurous.
Yeah. Now,
Yes.
mm, Swiss company, both our
Hmm.
company, Spanish company.
Hmm.
So now
Hmm.
we are Swiss. So I hope
Sweets. What does sweets mean? I mean,
from
I know
Switzerland, from
I know.
Switzerland,
Sorry, Land.
from Switzerland.
Oh, Switzerland.
Swiss.
Ah, it's a
Swiss?
Swiss company, right?
Yeah.
I understood the word sweets, so I thought that your company made candy, chocolate, and sugary
Yeah.
um, s- snacks and sweets and nice little things. Ah, it's a Swiss company. Oh, that's wonderful. Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
I hope that this point
Mm-hmm.
change. No, now because now is the things are the same.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps in 2 or 3 years, these kind of things change.
Oh, yes,
Mm,
I'm sure in a few years'
I hope.
time. Oh, I hope so
Yes.
too. Absolutely. Mm. Well,
Yeah,
that's good.
because mm,
Mm-hmm. Because?
yeah. Because now the Swiss company, both our company,
Mm-hmm.
uh, um, in last January or last March, I think. But
Yes.
now it's the same
Hmm.
situation last before, so
Yes.
no changes. But in the future, I think so.
Yes, that
Um,
would be good.
it's a good point, I think. In
Oh, absolutely. Mm.
um, I don't know what happened. Perhaps there are another decisions or another yes, decisions is no good or
Mm. We
because
wouldn't
they
say
they
no
have to.
good. We would say the decisions are not good. So I know in Spanish they usually say no, 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 meaning not. But in English we would say
It's,
not. good instead of
Okay.
no good. We would say, instead of saying it's no good, normally you would say it's not good, you see.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. How is the coronavirus in Indonesia?
Oh, Indonesia, we've overtaken China now. We have more.
Yes.
Yes, now it's in the East Asia. We are the number one country in East Asia. Now that we've overtaken China, so now China is in second position and Indonesia is in first position. I'm sorry to say, it's a very sad record. We have
Yeah.
more coronaviruses than China. Um, and what's surprising is that China is 6 times bigger, or at least the population in China is
Yeah.
6 times bigger than Indonesia, which means that if a country like Indonesia, which is 6 times smaller as far as the population is concerned, has more cases than China, that
Oh my God.
means that altogether we have, in fact, more proportionally, I'm talking about the percentage, more
Yes,
than
yes,
six
yes.
times more infections and cases than China. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes,
Pro-
perfectly.
proportionally, I'm talking about the
Mhm.
percentage of the population. It means that there's a 6 times higher percentage of the population that has been uh, infected by the coronavirus than in China. So
Mhm.
I don't know what the percentage was in China. Maybe it was, I don't know,
Tierra.
1 or 2% of the population. But that means that in Indonesia, it's more than 6 or more than 12% of the population, if it was 1 or 2% in China. So you see how serious it is, Chris.
Yes.
Mm.
In China, I think only in Wuhan, no? Perhaps
Wuhan, that's right.
Wuhan.
The Hubei province, exactly.
Mhm.
But we have overtaken Wuhan, we've overtaken the whole of China. Now, obviously, in Indonesia, it's not the same everywhere. Like in all countries, there are some places where there are more cases, other places where there are less cases. It's always usually the big city centers, the capitals, where there is a lot of people and the people come together. You see, in the countryside, there's not many cases. So obviously in the capital, Jakarta, there's a lot of cases. And in all the big cities around Jakarta, there are a lot of cases as well. But the rest of the country, not so much, especially in the countryside, very little. And I think it's the same everywhere, really. I mean, the same kind of situation.
In Spain, we
Yes, what's the situation in Spain? I was just about to ask you. Yes, what is it like in Spain?
finished the state of alarm. People,
Mhm,
the bars, the work
mhm.
uh, are open
Oh, they're open again. Ah, so people can do
again.
the
Yes.
fiesta. They can celebrate and have a party.
No, but
Uh-huh.
yes, but no fiestas, no fiestas.
No fiestas.
Eh,
Oh, no.
no, no fiestas. em, Public fiestas.
No public
But
fiestas, only private
yes,
fiestas.
no, but no, because are they forbidden?
Social distancing
Yes,
fiestas. You have to be minimum 2 meters away from the other person who you're having the fiesta with.
no, but for young people
Hmm.
join together and stay
Hmm.
perhaps 20 or 30 people, so they
Hmm.
are small fiestas, but
Yes,
uh,
very small fiestas. Yes.
but should be forbidden
Wow.
because in these fiestas
Hmm.
there
No,
are
not in this,
oh,
because it's
in
plural. In
okay, sorry,
these, so you need to really pronounce that clearly so that we
these,
know it's plural. In
yes,
these fiestas, there we are.
in these fiestas,
Very good. Excellent.
there are people infected.
Mm-hmm.
There in Spain
Mm-hmm.
now are different focus of coronavirus.
Focus us, not
Focus,
us.
focus.
Focus. Focus.
Focus. Okay,
Focus.
focus.
That's right. Focus. Yes.
Focus. For example, due to foreign people that arrive arrive to Spain for work, for pick up the
Yes.
fruits, for
You
example.
you wouldn't say they arrived to Spain. You would say they arrived in Spain. So
Okay.
they've arrived in Spain because you always arrive in a country, but if it was the verb to go, you don't say they go in Spain, you say they go to or they went to Spain, you see, if it's the
Mhm.
past. So can you see the difference with the verb to go, they went to Spain? But if it's to arrive, because when you're arriving,
Okay.
you're actually arriving in, so it's not exactly the same thing. And here we say they've arrived in Spain. You see the difference
Mhm.
there, Chris? I've written it in the Skype chat for you.
Yeah, yes, I can see it.
Hmm.
Arrive in Spain.
Yes, they've arrived.
Um,
Hmm.
so perhaps in Barcelona
Barcelona, yes. Hmm.
Barcelona,
Hmm.
Catalonia in general, there are a lot of people infected. So
Yes.
close close the city.
Oh,
No,
they've
no,
done the
no like
lockdown. They've closed the
no
city.
no lockdown.
Not
It's a
lockdown.
no no it's a voluntary lockdown. You
Oh, it's
understand?
a voluntary lockdown.
Mm.
Yes, that's very good.
So
We could do with that in Indonesia. You'll have to send us your voluntary lockdown to Indonesia because they need a voluntary lockdown in Indonesia. Because even when there's an official lockdown, the people don't respect it. But if it was a
yeah.
voluntary lockdown coming from the people, then even if there's no lockdown in Indonesia, because now there's no longer any lockdown, because they said they would prolong, first of all, the lockdown to the beginning of June, and then the beginning of July, and then the middle of
Mm.
July. But in fact, what happened was when they prolonged it to the beginning of June, they at the same time continued it, but they removed half of it. So it was 50% less. I don't know if I explained to you, if a street was before blocked at both ends, they open up one end of the street and it's only the other end which is blocked. So if people want to go in the street, instead of going through the blocked way, they go round to the open way. But they still go in the street, so it's the same thing.
Mhm.
That was the beginning of June. Then the beginning of July, then they opened all blocks, so there was no longer any blocks neither at the beginning nor the end of the streets. So they didn't actually follow the government recommendations to continue the lockdown to the middle of July. They just lifted everything at the beginning of July, and so no more lockdown since the beginning of July, even though theoretically we were still supposed to have a lockdown middle of July. And because the government saw that the people weren't respecting the lockdown, once it was the middle of July, they didn't bother extending it to the end of July or the beginning of August because it would have been pointless. There would have been no reason. It wouldn't have had any useful purpose because if the people already don't respect the lockdown for the beginning of July, they're not going to have do anything at the end of July because they're easing the lockdown more and more. They're lifting it, the people, rather than imposing it. So if you could send us a voluntary lockdown from Spain to encourage the people to voluntarily lock down, that would be brilliant, Chris. You must tell us your
It's
secret, the secret of Spain to convince the people to do a voluntary lockdown. We can do with that. That would be very useful.
it's difficult.
I know. Mm.
Young people, nothing. Young people, ¿cómo se dice? Mm,
So you're saying about
Young people
the young
mm,
people, yes?
don't obey, be or
Don't
be,
abide, yes. So
obey or be.
either you say they don't abide,
No, no,
or
no, 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 no.
they
This
uh,
one.
don't obey. But
Obey.
abide is also a good word, saying that they don't abide by that, which means more or less the same thing. It means that they don't obey that. They don't abide by the rules, which means they don't obey the
Yeah.
rules. So yes, it's
Yes.
usually the young people who don't obey the rules, the older people being a little bit wiser,
Yeah.
uh, then they do obey the rules much more. And in Spain, do the young people obey the rules or only the old people?
Only the old people.
Ah, only the old.
In fact, the max here is mandatory because
Ah,
depends of the
mandatory.
city. Mandatory.
Man, mandatory, not mandatory, but
Man,
mandatory. Yes. I know
mandatory.
it's
Mandatory.
written mandatory, but it's pronounced mandatory. Mandatory.
Ma- mandatory.
That's
It's
it. Very good.
mandatory
Yes.
because people
Hmm.
don't obey,
Obey, obey.
obey,
That's right.
obey,
Obey. Not
obey,
not obey, but obey. It's you
obey,
pronounce it like it's an okay? So it's
obey,
obey. They don't
obey, obey,
like the letter uh,
obey,
obey. That's right. They don't
obey. Okay.
obey. Yeah, that's right.
They don't obey.
Yes.
So now is mandatory,
Yes.
mandatory,
Mandatory. Mandatory.
mandatory. Okay,
That's
mandatory,
very good.
mandatory.
Hmm.
In young people it's very difficult because
Mm,
they are together in a party in, for
of
example,
course, they like
bars or
fiestas.
pubs
Mm,
are
yes,
closed, I think,
of
in
course.
several days because it's very
Yes.
difficult to
Mm,
control this kind
mm,
of of uh, of yes
hmm.
um uh, I think it's the economy, the tourist is difficult in
Yes.
Spain now,
Yes,
and
tourism, the tourist economy, the tourist
yeah,
business. Yes.
yes, it's difficult close a city
Oh,
because
well, yes,
uh,
if the city's closed, then it's difficult. Yeah.
yes, because economy is important
Of
too.
course, absolutely. But
So
tourism is a
yeah,
big part of the Spanish economy, uh,
yeah, yeah,
the tourism
yes,
industry. So if there's no tourism, no tourists, then it's very complicated.
yeah.
Very complicated. Hmm.
I think it's after the pandemic of
Hmm.
coronavirus, there are
Yes.
another pandemic from no work. People
Yes.
mm, don't stay at outside,
Outside.
uh,
You don't
outside,
that's right.
out,
Outside. Yes.
outside.
That's right.
Um, no buy. So it's difficult for
Hmm.
the consume, for the economy.
Yes.
Yes, a lot, many sectors, different sectors in, for
Yes.
example, in the the bars or fiestas
Yes.
like
Hmm.
music, artists,
Yes. Yes.
uh, tourist bar, pub,
Hmm.
discotheque.
Yes.
Mm, I think is this a lot of sectors are affected due
Oh,
to
yes, they are affected.
coronavirus.
Yes, very much
Yes,
affected. A lot of sectors of industry are affected. Any sector of industry where there's a large amount of people gathered together in the same place, then those are health risks. They're
yeah,
contamination risks, infection risks. So it's best to avoid them, but it means there's a lot of companies, a lot of business businesses, plural, are having to close down because they can no longer function.
Mm-hmm.
They can no longer do their business because there's no, it's not allowed with the social distancing rules and regulations. You can no longer do the fiestas. You can no longer have big groups of people together. It's complicated.
It's complicated. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I don't know what happened in September if we come back at it at the office or
No,
if people.
now we don't say come back at the office. I mean, we can be at the office, okay? That means we are situated where the office is, so we're at the office. But talking about coming back, we can come back, and there's motion. Whenever there's motion,
Okay.
then you would say to the office. So you would say, we can come back to the office. So you don't know if
Okay.
you'll be able to come back to the office.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I don't know what happened. Is if in September
Well,
we
you would
can
say what will happen. This is the future tense because September
okay.
is
We will.
in
Okay.
2 months' time. So you would say we will, we do not know what will happen in September, you see. So it's the future. Yes, that's right. We do not know what will happen in September. That's quite right. Maybe everybody is going to do, working from home, teleworking, working remotely, like you're doing now, working from home.
Yes, I think if
Hmm.
people can work at home, it's
Yes.
perfect
Oh, that's
because
wonderful.
more
Mm.
people can't work at home, but the
Hmm.
rest of the people
Yes.
should be do it.
Yes, I think everybody who can work from home should work from home. So that'll reduce the risk of contamination because
Mm-hmm.
there'll be less people outside, less people in other
Yes,
places. And I
in,
mean, they
in
have
in public transport.
in public, exactly, public transport, public places. I mean, we have to be at home anyway, because that's where we sleep, that's where we live. So that doesn't change anything, the situation at home, because we already have to be there. But if we're there all the time, it avoids us being in other places also, which means it avoids us like contaminating and infecting other places like public places. So
Mm-hmm.
if there is a contamination, it stays very locally at home, you see. It
Yeah.
stays in private, just in the privacy of the home, and it's limited normally only to the family, and that's it, nobody else, you see. But of course, when you're working publicly, then, as you say, public transport, the office, the workplace, those are all dangerous places as far as coronavirus
Yeah.
is concerned. Yes. And then those who are not able to work from home because their job does not allow them to work from home. I mean, imagine, I don't know, a policeman, a person who delivers letters, the postman. Um, how can a postman work from home? You see, how can a policeman police the streets from home? Uh, how can a person who um, works outside, maybe who does building work, construction work, he can't do it only in his home. He has to go to different places, you see. So there are some jobs which obviously you cannot do from home. But then what probably will happen is that those people will change jobs. They will
Yeah.
have like a recycling or reconversion or a reorientation of their career, and they will instead choose a job which they can do from home. What do you think, Chris?
For
Do you think that's possible?
yes,
Yes?
for example, now the doctors,
Daughters. Oh, the doctors.
doctors, the
Doctors, yes.
doctors, yes,
Doctors. Mhm.
um, uh, from coronavirus, from March, from coronavirus situation,
Coronavirus.
coronavirus, sorry,
Coronavirus. That.
coronavirus situation.
Yes.
We can't go to the hospital or to
That's right.
the
Yes.
to the center of medical center
The medical center.
here.
That's right. Health
No,
center. Yes.
first you have to call by phone,
Right. That's good.
and the doctor asks some questions, and it
Right.
depends if you have
That's good.
fever or toss or
Mm.
depends,
Yes, of
and
course.
depends on your situation.
Yes.
They say, okay,
So it wouldn't
come to
depend
the
of your situation. It depends
depend on
on. That's right. It
yes.
depends on your situation.
The doctor say, please,
Doctor, not
the
doctor.
doc,
Doctor.
doc,
Doctor.
doctor, doctor,
Doctor.
doctor,
Doctor. Doctor. Doctor.
doctor, doctor,
That's very good.
doctor.
Mhm.
The doctor say, please, come to the hospital
Yes.
or not. Directly depends.
Come to the
So
hospital, or rather go to the hospital. Yes. I mean, if the doctor's in the hospital, then he would say come to the hospital. But if he's not in the hospital, then he would send the patients to the hospital by saying go to the hospital. Hmm.
yeah. So
Yes.
I think it's incredible that the doctor make their jobs
Makes.
by
So if it's
makes
singular, if it's the doctor
yeah,
makes, yes. Hmm.
makes
Oh, sorry.
their jobs
Yes.
by phone.
That's right. The doctors,
Because
they
it's,
work by phone. That means the consultation
yeah,
is done by phone.
teleconsultation.
Teleconsultation. Yes, we're doing everything remotely now. Everything is done from home at a distance. So even the consultation, even the diagnosis of the doctor is done from home at a distance. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it's incredible, I
Yes, it's
think.
amazing. I
So
mean, we never had that before. I mean, before you could never imagine, that
yeah,
you could have a medical condition just by calling the or having a video conference with the doctor without actually seeing the doctor, and this doctor without actually seeing you. How is it possible to have a medical consultation? And yet nowadays it exists. It's happening.
yeah. So if
Mm.
a doctor can do it, I
Yes,
think
if
many people.
doctors can do it, that's right. If doctors can do it, well then just about everybody can do it. Well, I suppose
Uh,
for the taxi driver, it's going to be difficult to work from home
yeah,
because I don't see how the taxi
yes,
driver will be able to drive his taxi from home. I mean, he could do it virtually, and he could virtually drop the person off who is also following the taxi ride on the computer virtually. But at the end of the ride, the person, the passenger, is still
yeah,
at home. They still haven't arrived at their destination. So it's true that there's some jobs that cannot be done from home, like a taxi driver. That's impossible.
Yeah, it's true. Depends on the job.
Yeah, that's right. It
It's right.
depends on the job. Yes, that's true. Well, I think the
So
taxi drivers are going to have to recycle or to change their profession, change their job, and do something that they can do virtually, like online, using the computer and internet. I think that's the best thing. There are going to be so many computer jobs, internet jobs. It's going to be amazing. More and more.
yeah,
Yes. Mm.
I think so.
Well, I think that's going to be the future. I think that's the way it's going to be in the future.
Yes, the profession changed a lot.
Yes, that's right.
And in this moment, I think nothing is forever. So
No.
the
Hmm.
the the time change very quickly, and
Oh, very quickly. Yes.
if you can earn a lot of money with a job, but
Yes.
10 years later finish that job, no more,
Exactly.
because
Hmm.
society change, or
Society.
society, okay,
That's right.
society
You need to pronounce
change,
that word, society. Yes. Changes.
changes, yes.
So third person singular, society changes. Yes, that's true. Society does change. It changes. Yes. Yes, as you say, nothing is forever. I mean, there's the expression "diamonds are forever." I don't know if you saw the James Bond film, "Diamonds Are Forever." Did you see that film, Chris? With James
No,
Bond? No.
but
That,
it's all
yes.
all
Yes.
all films, yes.
Yes. I mean, they say diamonds are forever, but in fact, even diamonds. I mean, if you burn a diamond with fire, it's not going to last forever because diamonds can burn.
Yeah.
Because diamond is like a piece of coal that's been compacted um, with a lot of very intense pressure and maybe
Hmm.
heat as well, and over a long period of time, and that produces a diamond. But essentially, it's still coal, so it can still burn, and so fire can destroy diamonds. So even diamonds are not forever, Chris.
Yes, it's
Yes,
true. Nothing is forever. It's true.
that nothing is forever. That is to say, down here on Earth, obviously, because we're in a physical dimension, you see,
Hmm.
and nothing physical lasts forever. But everything that's spiritual lasts forever, which means that in a spiritual dimension, in the spiritual world, I mean, we actually have a spiritual part of our body because we have three parts to our body: the soul, the spirit, and the body.
Hmm.
Okay, but the
Hmm.
body, the physical part, well, that'll return to the ground, ashes to ashes and dust to dust. So the body will decompose, will deteriorate, and become dust. But the spiritual part of us, the spirit and the soul, I mean, those parts will just last forever. They will live forever. But because that is spiritual, those are the only things which are eternal, are the things which are spiritual. Do you see what I mean, Chris?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. That's right. Yes, that's it. That's the situation, Chris. So we need to pray for a miracle, a very big miracle, so that there will be a vaccine, a cure, all the coronavirus just disappears, just like that.
Yes, perhaps,
That would be
pardon.
nice. Yeah, nice miracle, that. Yeah, we need to
Vaccines.
sorry, you're saying?
The
Uh,
the the va-
yes,
the
yes.
vaccine.
Vaccine.
Vaccines. Hmm.
Vaccine. So this is how you spell the vaccine,
Vaccine.
like this.
Vaccine. Yes.
That's right.
But
Yes.
in Oxford, uh,
Mm-hmm.
they test it with animals, or
Mm-hmm.
and the vaccine is they are very happy
Ah,
because work
work, yes.
works they and it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't bad effects in the body, so
Oh,
I think
yes. Mm, that's
it's
right.
a good news, I think.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I quite agree with you. You have to be careful what you eat as well, uh, because I think some people have been contaminated by the coronavirus through the food that they've eaten.
Yes.
Yes, because when you think of the origin of the coronavirus, it came from a food market, a live animal food market in the Hubei province of China, in Wuhan.
Yeah. Huh.
You
Hmm.
remember what they
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
the origin of it,
Hmm.
and they think it comes from bats,
Yeah.
from the
From
meat.
bats. Yes.
That's right, from a bat meat.
But it's real or no? Or
Well, it's possible. I mean, they sell bats for food. People eat bats in China, and monkeys, and dogs, and lots of other things like that, and snakes and things. So, yes, coronavirus is a disease that's come from an animal to a human being. You know that, don't you, Chris? You
yeah.
you know that, yes. That's why it's called coronavirus. That is the meaning of a coronavirus. It's a disease that's come from an animal to a human being. And there's been other coronaviruses in the past. Do you remember the swine flu, the pig flu, the chicken flu, the aviary flu, the bird flu? You've heard of all of these?
Hmm.
These come from animals, and they're
Yeah.
often respiratory diseases. So you have to be careful what you eat.
Yeah. Peop- mm, other
Other, other,
other
other,
people
other people, yes.
say that the coronavirus
Hmm.
start or begin in a lab.
Or began, because that's in the
Began, okay,
past.
yes,
So
okay,
it
yes, began in a lab,
began. Oh, in a lab, yes, the
in a laboratory.
conspiracy theories. Yes, you've
Yes,
heard of the conspiracy theories.
perhaps in a lab, because in a lab the technical work with different virus,
Hmm.
uh,
With
and
different viruses, that has to be plural because
virus
if it's
viruses.
different, it's more than one. Because if there's only one, it can't be
Yes,
different because there's no difference if it's the same thing. It's all the same. But if it's different, that means it's more than one automatically, minimum two, for there to be a difference. So you would say different viruses.
viruses.
Mm.
So they open from no, the virus stayed in a laboratory, and
Laboratory.
I don't know why
Yes.
infected outside,
Yes,
but
that's true because normally if it was in the laboratory, it would stay in the laboratory. So how it can go outside unless it was done on purpose. And then of course in these conspiracy theories, often they talk about somebody releasing the virus on purpose. I mean, a lot of countries have accused China
mm,
of releasing this virus on purpose.
hmm,
But if they're going to release it on purpose, they're not going to destroy their own population. I mean, logically,
yeah,
they would do it like against another country which they don't like.
no,
I
no,
mean,
no,
they wouldn't do it against their own country. So how can you accuse the Chinese of killing their own people? I don't think they do that. I know some countries do that, like Syria, with Bashar al-Assad, of course, we have a
Mm-hmm.
situation of like genocide and civil war where some countries do attack their own people, but I don't think China wants to attack its own people. I don't think so.
No,
Uh,
no.
no.
I think that the China perhaps knows the situation
Hmm.
before, perhaps in January or in
Oh,
December,
absolutely. I
and
agree with
and
you.
they
Yes.
yes, and they um, mm, show
Hmm. Yes, they show. What did you
th-
say?
th- this they show speak to the world the situation, the real situation.
Right. Yes. Yes, I think you're right, Chris. I'm sure they knew a long time ago, several months before it was announced officially.
Hmm.
I'm sure of that because there's even been reports that even uh, in August of last year,
Hmm.
that there was an increase um, for of the amount of people visiting the hospitals in China because they have satellite pictures showing the hospital before the month of August, and then from the month of August onwards, August, September, October, etc., you see more and more people visiting the hospitals, which means that it can only be the start of the epidemic, the start of the pandemic in the month of August. And for it to arrive in the hospitals and for there to be more people in the hospitals, um,
In China,
yes, in China,
I don't know.
um, yes, in China, you know that it takes um, at least 2 weeks normally for the uh, illness to be manifested because it's often um, dormant and there were no symptoms usually for a couple of weeks. And so for there to be, and even when there are symptoms, I mean, at first, normally it isn't all that serious. So people will think it's just maybe a bit of fever, a cold, a cough, maybe the flu, but they would maybe just take ordinary medication for it, you see.
Hmm.
Um, they wouldn't start going to the hospitals directly, I don't think. They would just see their local doctor or just go to the pharmacy, the chemist, and just buy some medication for the cough, for the cold, for the fever, the temperature, the flu. So I think it could have started even as early as July, and it's only in August that we start seeing more people actually at the hospital itself. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Can you
Hmm.
imagine that? Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. And this happened in China. Yes. Okay. Well,
Okay.
Chris, we've come to the end of the time of our lesson. How did you find the lesson? Was it
Yes,
interesting,
perfectly.
helpful,
Interesting.
useful for you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Useful. Useful.
Ah,
Yes. Thank
that's
you.
very good. You're ever so welcome, Chris. I'm ever so happy for you. I'm very pleased. And thank you very much for the lesson. It was great. And I'm glad you enjoyed it as much as I did. And so I look forward to our next lesson together, Chris.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, that'll be
Bye. See
wonderful.
you.
Thanks so much. All the best. Take care,
Bye.
Chris. Keep
Bye.
well.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye bye, Chris. Bye.